Hi, how you guys doing? Welcome to OrganixFl, and it is a pleasure to be here at the Moringa Center, which is kind of our home farm. So I would like to thank Diana, who you will meet hopefully later today, and her family for having us here. As always, shout out to Richard Jackson from NYCE Flicks, and Chef Nina's in the house, the Raw Chef. And the reason we brought Chef Nina out here is one, because you had to see the place, right?
I've been hearing about it forever, but never been out here.
And it's everything that...
It's amazing.
All right. Hopefully Richard will take you on a tour a bit later, and you can get to see the pond out here. There are fields of moringa trees. There are... In fact, I'm going to let Diana tell you later on what there is, because there's so much stuff here. But let's go to Chef Nina very quickly. Chef Nina, the Raw Chef.
Hi. Nice to see you.
Oh, it's always great to see you.
Yeah.
It's always great to see you. The Raw Chef, this is what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Tell me about this raw thing, because you know I like cooked food. I'm Jamaican.
Yeah. You know, when you look at a farm, there's so much growing here that starts with so much nutrition just in the plant itself, which actually really starts from what you put into the soil, and that's like almost a whole other, we could do a whole show just about that. But point being that once you start cooking things, you're going to lose some of the value. Some of it is fiber, and as many of you know, a lot of what I do, in fact, the only thing I do is plant-based cooking and eating. So one of the conversations that always hover around whenever somebody hears about veganism or plant-based is they worry about where to get your protein. But in fact, that's really not the thing to worry about. It's where to get your fiber.
Okay.
Right? That's what we should all be worrying about.
Why is that?
Fiber is the answer to everything.
Okay.
It really is. Fiber is what moves through our body, and it's basically like the roto-rooter. It cleans the whole plumbing system. Fiber, in fact, is what creates what's called prebiotics. Now, most of us have been hearing already for a decade now about this thing called probiotics. But to have probiotics, you first need to feed your body the good stuff that your body will then convert.
Okay.
So you need the fuel, and the fuel is fiber-filled foods. So fiber is the cellulose, it's the indigestible part of food. So whenever we eat, whether we're having chickpeas or zucchini, moringa, all of this has a base of fiber to it, and the more we cook it, the less fiber, the less strong fiber we're getting. And so it no longer has all the capacity that is so wonderful inherent in the vegetables and in everything that's in the plant kingdom. So fiber is king. I mean, we all know how to eat to fill our bellies, but what kind of fuel are we all putting in our cars, in our engines, right? Are we putting the crap in and expecting it to drive like a Maserati? Or are we paying a few cents extra per gallon, like with organic food?
Well, I've actually eaten your food, and it's very good. So,
Thank you.
And I say that because when I think of raw food, I do know some great vegetarian cooks, but when I think of raw food and I think of vegetarian food, I tend to think of things being very bland.
Yeah, that's no fun. Why do that?
Well, exactly. And then when I think of fiber,
Yeah.
that doesn't sound too fun either.
Right, but so how do you eat your moringa? Because I know you love it.
Oh gosh, well, you know, I do teas. I
Yeah.
throw it in my curries.
Okay.
Okay, I see you got me there.
But no, I mean those are cooked ways. But moringa is so amazing.
But,
Not enough people know about it yet, but that's going
we're
to
getting
change.
there.
That's part
We're
of what
getting
we're
there.
doing here.
Yeah,
Exactly.
We're getting there.
That's going to change.
That's why we're at the Moringa Center.
Correct.
Okay.
So it's one thing that if food has whatever the nutrition is, but if it's not bioavailable to you, it doesn't matter what it has. So it's not even a question of what we eat, it's what are we absorbing.
What are we exactly? Well, yes,
So,
that's always been.
Yeah, so some of that is a function of our own body, and some of that is a function of what are we putting into our own body. Right? So how efficient is our machine, and what quality of fuel are we putting in? So when we eat things like moringa, which has such high potent nutrition and health for us, we are helping our body get back to the kind of ability that it has naturally. Our bodies can heal ourselves.
Absolutely. Well, absolutely. And my point is that in today's world, all right, where we are some pretty fussy and picky eaters, how can we, particularly say a family, incorporate your style of eating into our everyday?
Yeah. So you take a food like moringa, and obviously you can just eat the leaves. Okay, that's one thing. But for everybody who's so used to making pesto now, add it into your pesto. Slowly change the proportions. Like you're used to making pesto, wild guess, most everyone says basil. So let's say you start with 2 cups of basil. What if you went 2 cups of basil down to 1.5 and add half a cup of moringa leaves? And over time, switch those proportions, change till you shift. Because basil is wonderful and it has some medicinal properties, but moringa is a rock star.
Yeah, it's a great antioxidant. I mean,
Right, moringa.
Basil is something that you should have.
Sure.
But moringa obviously is something that we need to be having every day.
Every day. So there's that. You could also make a lemonade. Make your own lemonade in the blender, even if you just have a regular everyday blender. It doesn't have to be the fancy one. Make your lemonade. Put moringa leaves in it. So what? You'll have some green specks in it. Who cares? Like, are you going to let that interfere with getting...
You have basil lemonade and so on, so why wouldn't you have... That's not...
Exactly.
Not a problem.
So the idea is find ways, and another wonderful carrier for it is oils. Right. So pesto is one option, but let's say...
Actually, they make a moringa oil here at the Moringa Center.
Aha.
No, just saying.
I didn't know that, so that's great. Yeah. Oh, I feel like I have so much to catch up on being here.
You do. They have some wonderful. They've got a load of oils. There are supplements. They have the moringa. Diana's going to tell me about this later, I'm sure. But Jorge is the genius.
Yeah.
And he makes this capsule, which basically gives you everything.
Nice.
And what is
You're talking about the multi-pack?
Yes.
And it also helps with heart health and everything as well.
Okay, so
it's
we're
like
going to
full
talk about that.
basically
We're going
a
to talk about it. We're going to talk
That's
about
great.
it. So,
One of the things, this might open something up for you, but when we put something on our skin, so I don't know if the oil was meant for eating and cooking or if it's for our body.
It's actually for both.
It's excellent. I'm so happy to hear that, because one of the things that most of us don't think of is if you were to take your lotion or your cream or your shampoo, I want to know how many of you would take a spoon of it and eat it.
Oh gosh, yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
Would you take your lotion and eat a spoon of it? And if you wouldn't, and you go, oh my God, but it's full of blah, 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 which it is, why would you put it on your body? Because our skin is our largest organ in our whole body. It is also completely porous. So anything that you put on your skin, you are eating anyway. So if you haven't thought of it that way before, realize that any oils, any soaps, any shampoos, lotions, medicines, whatever it is, you're eating that. And if you wouldn't eat it, don't put it on your body. And on the other hand, when you have an oil like this that is so beneficial, what could be better than to have that, whether it's on your face or your arms, like everything. It's an amazing lotion. It's an amazing nutritional product to use. And part of really what I like to focus on is food as medicine. That's, it was that originally all along.
Absolutely.
So let's get back to that.
What's the medicinal properties in the food? I think, I always say, and it's one of the things we talked about, or is our tagline at OrganixFl, you are what you eat.
Yes, absolutely.
You are what you eat. And
So
we need to be mindful of that.
I'm going to add something else to that, because we are what we consume. And I'm becoming so mindful that consuming is way more than just what we're eating and drinking. Consuming is what are we listening to? What are we breathing? What are we thinking? Like the power and the healing power of all of those things. So who are we around? Are we hanging out with people that are eating Lay's chips and not thinking about what that. Look, I love them too. Don't get me
but the
wrong. I
knock-on
just
effect.
choose.
I got you. I understand.
Apologies to the brand, but.
So what? I mean, I know that you do a lot of those things on Zoom.
Yeah.
I'm sure people are quite fascinated by what you have going on. This is just a teaser, but you, I mean, you do workshops.
Yeah.
You do. I know you do your salad. You're gonna do a salad in the jar thing before you head on up the road. You do. I know you do one-on-one classes and so on like that. Tell people what you do.
Let me help you out with that. So, yeah, I mean, to be fair, the pandemic really threw me for a loop. So I'm just like everyone else. And I really had to take some time and step back. But it gave me the opportunity to learn more things for myself. So I've studied, I've just scratched the surface, even though I did some pretty deep studying of things like Ayurveda and some of the Asian arts. And so, a lot of other cultures, I've always known this, that other cultures have a lot of healing power and healing wisdoms that here in America, we've fallen away from.
Hold on. Because if you're talking about the Native American, then no, that's not the case.
Right.
But if you're talking about us,
I'm talking about today's version of America, which sadly has ignored all of the beautiful wisdoms from so many Native cultures and other.
I think we're starting to find them again. I think that people are starting to become more aware.
Yeah. I hear you saying that, Christopher, and I fall into that trap. I believe it. But then I also look around and I go, I'm surrounded by people that we are kind of like-minded. So it just seems like my circle is getting bigger and full of people who think this.
It's tribal.
But
I think we are now in a time where we are developing our own tribes and finding ourselves drawn to like-minded people, such as myself and you. I mean, it's.
I feel like a lot of my mission is to reach the people that are not in the tribe, to open something up for them, share some wisdom, drop some new ideas, and open up some boundaries, because that used to be me too at some point. And I had to learn that, okay, maybe this idea that the government was protecting me, maybe not.
Maybe not. Yeah, maybe not.
Right. And that was, honestly, that was a bitter pill to swallow a long time ago. It took me, that was maybe 12 years ago now, 12 to 15 years ago, that I started seeing signs and started questioning. And once you start questioning, a whole other world opens up. Once we think we have the answer, we stop looking. We stop looking at other answers. So I'd rather remain in the question.
Okay.
And say, what can this herb do for me? And what can that plant do for me? And what can this change of life, what can this way of life bring me? So I really feel I want to extend the hand.
But you've developed a quite a group, a following.
Yeah.
You have your groupies. So you are the Raw Chef rock star.
Because, you know what? We are all the light of the world. We don't spend our day thinking like that. But it's inside all of us. So what can we do to bring that forward? And maybe depending less on somebody else feeding us. Maybe depending less on the supermarket to do the right thing on our behalf. Because will they really? And, maybe that's a good time.
We've always said it's very important that children know that food doesn't come from Publix.
Or from a styrofoam tray with plastic wrap.
Or a guy that pulls up outside your house with grocery bags.
Yeah.
And being here in South Florida, we have more agriculture around us than most people realize.
It's fabulous.
Which is one of the reasons that I wanted to come out to the farm today. And I don't know, I think the third largest industry in Palm Beach County is agriculture. If you've been to a McDonald's or a Wendy's or whatever, you probably had a Palm Beach County lettuce.
Yeah.
And that's up and down the country. That's not just here.
Yeah.
And my point is that you've done so much to champion the cause. What's next?
So the pandemic has really shown me another way, and I do think it's through the lens. I really worked one-on-one. I worked closely with people. I always said that I was a hand-holding kind of person, and I'm discovering through the pandemic. I suppose a lot of people have had this aha moment, but for me, it's maybe only coming now. But I really do feel like my ability to reach someone and work with them and share and enlighten and provide solutions, because that's really the whole point. But my ability to provide solutions, I've realized, doesn't diminish because I'm behind a lens. And that was a huge aha moment for me. And so I look forward to doing more of what I'm doing, which is having more workshops and more knowledge-based classes, but having it be conversational. Mm-hmm. Having it be like, let me hear from you. What is your challenge? And where do you shop? And why? And it's never, my come from is never to make anyone bad and wrong. Ever. I'm never going to say, you shouldn't do that. Whatever you're eating, I'm not going to say that either. I'm going to say, well, let's look at what else we can do. Do you know, are you aware of, how else can we change it? And what would happen if we came to the supermarket here? I just heard everything you're growing. Why would I go to a supermarket?
You haven't heard half of it yet.
I bet you're right. Why not come here and do my shopping here with a basket and it's having everything when it's alive.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you here. Thank you very much for coming out to the farm, and don't go away. We'll take a quick tour when we're done, and there's so much for you to see here.
I want to go shopping.
Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot. But yeah. Well, thank you very much for joining us out here at the Moringa Center. Thank you to Diana for being a wonderful host. Thank you to Chef Nina, the Raw Chef. Chef Nina, one of our favorite friends here at OrganixFl. And we hope won't be a stranger and you'll come back and see us soon.
I want to give you one more tidbit of what to do with Moringa.
Absolutely. Okay, see, a PS.
Yeah.
There's a PS on the bottom.
Yeah, because, if you just take almonds or you take peanuts and you put them in the food processor, you have peanut butter or almond butter. Do that and add a whole pile of Moringa in there too.
Oh.
The tastes go really well together, and having the oil and the fats help make it, again, a little more bioavailable. It's delicious, and it's going to be one of the household friendliest ways to start getting into Moringa.
You heard it from a chef, so it's got to taste good. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, and hope to see you guys soon.